History. History, not science. No, well, science too, but history. This is, we sell history here. You know, we really do. We sell history. And I love history. I'm that nerd that watches all those World War II documentaries, and I'm that guy. I'm that guy. And the thing is, a lot of that stemmed from my love of history and wine. All right, not just the whole like Cistercian monks and Romans and great presses found in the vineyard and that kind of stuff, but even more recent history, because I'm fortunate enough at my age to have to be a part of the recent wine history over several decades. And that's horrible to think about, but kind of cool at the same time. And today's offer is a bit of history, and history that I've been intrinsically cognizant of since the start, which is really cool, right? It's super cool. So, first of all, I wasn't cognizant in the 1971 part. The Hickinbotham Vineyard was established in 1971 by Alan David Hickinbotham. And Hickinbotham, should I say it that way the whole time? Or that'll be fun if I can. And basically the deal is he founded this vineyard out in the McLaren Vale, in the eastern McLaren Vale, at some elevation. Warmer day, cooler night type proposition. They planted a bunch of different things, right? You know, they planted Cabernet, they planted Shiraz, they planted, I think there might have been some Grenache in the vineyard. I think it was just Cabernet and Shiraz at the time in 1971, but they planted Grenache and some other things later. Now, fast forward to the early 90s. In the early 90s, there was a winery called Clarendon Hills. If you're familiar with wine, fine wine, you know who Clarendon Hills is. One of the most established, most esteemed wineries in Australia. Cult following, amazing wines. And the first time I ever saw Hickinbotham was on their label back in the early 90s with it was a 92 or 93 Hickinbotham Vineyard Cabernet from Clarendon Hills. And that wine was amazing, as were all the Clarendon Hill wines. Stunning, stunning wines from Roman Batasiak. And the Hickinbotham Cabernet captured my fancy in particular. I thought the wine was absolutely sensational. I remember drinking bottles of that in this weird kind of Australia meets Bordeaux with a Napa fruit vibe mentality to it. It was absolutely stunning. Fast forward, late 90s, early 2000s, Clarendon Hills is still making Hickinbotham Cabernet. Hickinbotham Cabernet. But at that time, David Hickinbotham was also partners with Dan Phillips from the Grateful Palate with another operation they had with vineyards way out in the Riverlands. And so I got to visit the vineyard there, almost died, and the plane almost semi did crash, but not crash. We bounced in the propeller bend, but anyway, wow, that was pretty crazy. But you know, the thing is, I got to walk the vineyard there, and this was in 2002, and the vineyard was amazing. All these hills and swales and microclimates and exposures, and it was really, really something. And even when you looked at the vineyard, like, what a gem. This is amazing. Well, the Hickinbothams down the line had their troubles, etc. Hickinbothams down the line had their troubles, etc. And then eventually the vineyard found its way to who? Jess Jackson. KJ, Kendall Jackson, bought this vineyard in 2012. They bought this historic 2012, this historic Hickinbotham vineyard in 2012, and went about doing some work on it, switching to organic, switching to biodynamic, and wanting to make big time wine, because they knew the Clarendon Hills Hickinbotham Cabernets. They knew the Hickinbothams also sold the Penfolds. I'm sure this juice found its way into wines like 707 Cabernet, etc. So they knew something very special was here. And to make this very, very special wine from this vineyard, they brought in none other than Chris Carpenter, the Chris Carpenter of Lokoya and Cardinal and La Joda and Mount Brave fame. Basically, him and Pierre Sayon, who makes Verite, are like the two rock star winemakers, the red winemakers in the Kendall Jackson stable. Chris Carpenter is one of the greatest winemakers in America, maybe even on the planet. And Chris was very excited to take on the project because he was able to work full time on it, basically, because, you know, the harvests are 6 months apart. Northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. So these guys pick in March, April, and in the northern hemisphere, they pick in September, well, now late August. But it allowed Chris to devote himself full time to this project. Chris Carpenter is an amazing winemaker. So you have old vines of Cabernet. You have one of the best terroirs in Australia for Cabernet. You have one of the greatest Cabernet winemakers on the planet. how do you think the wine's going to turn out? Amazing. But here's the deal. They knew the wine was going to be amazing. They knew, right? So if you're an amazing California winemaker making $200, $300 wines, get 100 points, $400 wines, get 100 points all the time, what are you going to do with this project? Where do you price it at? If you're the winery, talk to me. Where do you price it at? So the folks at Kendall Jackson, Hickinbotham, and Chris Carpenter all got together. They probably decided on, or maybe he didn't decide on the price at all, maybe $90. So this wine was going to be $90 a bottle. What a deal, huh? You know, it's less than La Joda. It's, you know, a third the price of La Coya, whatever the hell. What a deal. Problem was it was Australian. So with the stigma that Australia has endured over the last 15, 20 years, it was an uphill battle from the start. But at the same time, the wine was worth $90. So what do? Well, you try to sell it. Sometimes more successful than others, but sometimes you can't sell it. You know, this whole, you know, stigma of Australian wine in the American marketplace, ooh, it's big, it's gooey, it's oozy, which is all bullshit, by the way. All bullshit. Has persisted. Kind of like the whole Merlot thing from Sideways. You just can't get around it. You can't get past it. So in the end, we were presented a rare opportunity. And not just on the current vintage of Hickinbotham, Trueman, Cabernet Sauvignon, McLaren Vale, but the 2016. What? They brought this to us the other day, and they were like, can you do something with this? We tasted the wine. Hell yeah. Dude, how good is this? Alcohol is 14.5. So all you alcohol weenies, don't panic. Less alcohol than most of the Napa Cabernets produced today. Beautiful wine. This is gorgeous. At age 9, it is just, it's still on the up, but it's like right, it's in the spot, right? The spot. When you look for Cabernet, you want it to be in the spot. So just like most red wines that you age. Well, the Bordeaux ones can get a little older, and you're still like, oh, this is lovely claret. Do you say so, Mr. Hickinbotham? Yeah, lovely claret. So with the Brits, you can do that. With the Napa stuff, sometimes you can do it. But other wines are very unforgiving in that sense. And this one is in the pocket. This is gorgeous wine. French oak, American oak, I don't know. French, it's gotta be French. Bling French. This is bling wine. But it's not heavy. The balance, the refinement here, it is sweet and velvety and minerally, cassis, that whole mulberry thing. No mint, mind you. The Hickinbotham Vineyard, no mint. This is a mint-free wine. With some of you are like, oh, it's minty Cabernet there. Nope. We're pretty much mintless, which I don't mind mint, to be perfectly honest with you, but this one's pretty mint. This is mintless. This is just waves of delicious, beautiful, mature, yet vibrant Cabernet fruit washing over your palate, man. The tannins are soft, but still framing. They're still there, but not as dominant. But you get this wonderful frame for all this approaching resolved fruit hitting your palate. The wine's just beautiful. Chris Carpenter's a stud, man. This dude knows how to make wine. Yeah, this is easily on par with the Clarendon Hills Hickinbotham Cabernets. It's a little different. Those wines are a little like, almost a little like funkier. You know, they got their own little mojo. This one's more straight up, more vertical than those wines were. But what a vineyard. I love it when it all comes together. Excellent vintage, top-notch winemaker, great vineyard, bottle aged. Good Lord, what else do you want? So, getting back to that $90 thing. Yeah, $90, worth it. It's absolutely worth it at $90. That's why we're selling it to you for half that. $45 for this wine, $44.98. This is world-class Cabernet at the highest level at $45. This is redonkulous. Scores, yeah, 94s, 95s. You can look it up on the article when you click below to buy it, which you should do that pretty quick. There's only 200 bottles. We only got about 30, 35 six-packs of this. And it's already selling. It's one of those wines that got on the site, and people were like, what are this? And super curious, and so people are already clicking, already snapping it up. These 200 bottles will not make it through the day today, but we might have another little afternoon surprise for you if they sell out really fast, which might be pretty cool. I'll say that. Guys, like our videos, like our page, click down below, do the right thing so you get to see these videos all the time, although most of you already do because you click on our daily email offers. But for some of you that don't, you can like and subscribe, and you'll be able to see us make complete fools of ourselves on a daily basis, breaking down the world of fine wine. It's still fine, but making it less like that. Enjoy.